There is a massive night of news taking place literally right now all around us, because after voting tonight, MPs have overturned all 10 of the House of Lords' amendments to the Rwanda bill. So that has just landed. These were said to be attempts to water down the legislation. So here's the second of 10 amendments being rejected earlier this evening.
The question is that this House disagrees with the Lords in their Amendment 2. Does many of that opinion say aye? Aye! Contrary, no. No! Division! Clear the lobby.
So this is what Prime Minister Rishi Sunak had to say a little earlier today.
Everyone is trying to block us, including the Labour Party, because they don't have a plan to tackle this problem. We do. I'm determined to see it through, get the deterrent up and running as quickly as possible.
So the Safety of Rwanda bill will now return to the House of Lords. It could become law before the end of the week. As Rishi Sunak races to get the flights in the air this spring, though, the government has now begun identifying the initial cohort of illegal migrants who will be sent to Rwanda. But The Times today has reported that the Kigali government are demanding a 2-month pause after the first migrant arrivals because they only confirmed accommodation for 200 people. I'm joined now by Reform UK leader Richard Tice. Richard, potentially just 200 migrants sent to Rwanda. Is it even worth it?
The farce gets even more farcical, Patrick. All of this noise over the last 2 years, over £300 million of British taxpayers' cash sent to Rwanda, and now they're saying, I tell you what, send a few on a small plane, and then we're going to have a 2-month pause to sort of assimilate. And you think, hang on, what's going on here? We're being ripped off. And there's another thing I want to raise here, which is that no one's been talking about in the UK. We've been talking about the safety of Rwanda. But here's the thing. Actually, Rwanda, it turns out, is funding a militia group in the neighbouring Democratic Republic of Congo. The US has been complaining about it, the United Nations has complained about it, France has complained about it. My concern is that our hundreds of millions of pounds is being diverted to fund the militia group in a neighbouring country. I mean, this gets from bad to worse. These are serious, serious issues. No one in this government is looking at it or talking about it. All they're saying, he's got a plan. His plan is not a deterrent at all, is it? They're still coming across on the boats. He's quite right to say Labour's not got a plan. We have a plan. You safely pick up, you take back to France. We're legally entitled to do so. No one else will dare talk about it.
Just on that, then, if you think there is a suspicion that British taxpayers' money is going to fund a war, essentially, militia groups, presumably we can't send anyone to Rwanda until you get answers for that.
Well, I think that's right, because other countries, France, the US, they're expressing real concerns about this militia group. And, you know, these are serious allegations, but no one in this government seems to have thought fit to address it.
The irony here would be is if we've been funding that and we end up having to take refugees from that conflict.
I mean, you just couldn't make it up. It's a sort of circular nightmare of farce and fiasco.
We did actually call some of the detail early. Actually, last month, the bombshell Rwanda files, right here on GB News, reported the initial accommodation capacity was indeed for just 200, which could increase to 500 within the first couple of months. We also found that the Rwandan government had yet to secure private accommodation to move migrants on, which is still, reportedly, an issue today. Now, I just want to put something to you, which is from very much the other side of this political debate. Speaking to GB News earlier today, the Shadow Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, said the Rwanda bill will not have Labour's support.
Well, we need to strengthen our border security and fix the chaos in the asylum system, because under the Conservatives, we've really seen criminal gangs take hold along the channel, and then this huge soaring backlog with asylum hotel use that is costing the taxpayer billions. So instead of all the gimmicks that we've had from Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives, our plan is to get a grip.
Well, dare I ask you, Richard, you know, Labour have got a better plan than you guys. They're going to tackle the problem upstream on the other side of the channel, not
Give
wait,
me a break.
Not wait for them to get in the channel so you can turn them around.
We've heard it all before. It's a bit like drug dealers, right? You get rid of a drug dealer off the streets and guess what? Another drug dealer fills the vacuum. The idea that if you get rid of one criminal gang, right, on the shores of Normandy and around Calais...
They're saying they'll do it right across
no one else... What do you think people have been trying to do for the last few months? This is a massive, massive money game. It only stops when you stop the business model, which is everybody gets returned. That's real leadership. It's the kind and compassionate thing to do. 10 people would be alive today if we'd done what I've been talking about for a year, because that's the number who've already died in the Channel this year. Thousands of dyings in the Mediterranean. Exactly the same strategy needs to be used. This is the sort of thing that Australia did. We know it works. We know it takes leadership. We know there's a bit of flack from the woke, wet, liberal lefties. Just ignore them. Get it done.
And where would you return those people to? Just Calais? Just the
back to back to the ports at Calais and Dunkirk. We're legally entitled to do it. And it's funny, isn't it? No government minister... I've been talking about this for a year. No one has disputed me because they're too embarrassed, too humiliated.
What about the ones coming in lorries, which is going up and up and up? We can't turn the lorries back.
That's absolutely right. So you've got to improve the scanning security. The numbers coming across in lorries has dropped dramatically, but you've got to improve the security, and you've got to improve the security on the boats and the ferries at exactly the same time.
All right, OK. Well, look, Richard, thank you very, very much, as ever. That is Richard Tice, their leader of Reform UK. Look, when we approached the Home Office last month, this is about the Rwanda files and about Rwanda essentially not being able to take or willing to take that many people. Both the British and Rwandan governments have always made clear that this scheme is uncapped, with the will and ability to build capacity over time in Rwanda. Something that I think is really, really worth looking into is what Richard said there, which is about, you know, the speculation as to whether or not there is indeed a proxy militia war taking place and whether or not the British taxpayer may well indeed have a hand in that, unwillingly, of course.